Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I have the honor to welcome you all to this PFMA Spotlight on Public Debt Management in Transition States, which seeks to address the emerging public debt challenges that are facing our countries, especially the transition states. This gathering today is part of the implementation of our special project, strengthening the capacity of transition states for the effective management and mitigation of debt distress, which is being implemented for the 22 transition states in Africa under the bank's Transition Support Facility. I'm sure all of us in this room know the Transition Support Facility, especially those from transition states, because our countries benefit from it. The African Development Institute, which my colleague here heads, specially designed this project to support capacity development in debt management and transparency and sustainability in public resource management in transition states, especially as many of them are either in debt distress or are at high risk of debt distress. Before I continue, permit me again to thank our host, my dear sister, Her Excellency Semerita Sewasiu, for honoring us with her presence in the room. Let's give her a big round of applause, please. And of course, I just acknowledge Commissioner Muchanga, who is actually the Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry, and Minerals for the AU Commission. He is not here with us, but I can assure you that he has always blessed us with his presence in each and every occasion that we have had that relates to public financial management or any of the sectors that I have just mentioned that he covers. Your Excellencies, the African Development Institute of the bank undertakes various capacity development programs and activities for African countries. And these are geared towards the implementation of the bank group's capacity development strategy, which runs from 2021 to 2025, the multidimensional action plan for debt management and the mitigation of debt distress, the strategy for economic governance in Africa, which also runs from 2021 to 2025, and the strategy for addressing fragility and building resilience in our countries. These activities, of course, as many of us know, and we also saw in the video, include executive training on public financial management and debt management under the Public Financial Management Academy for Africa, the PFMA, and macroeconomic policy management under the Macroeconomic Policy Management and Academic for Africa. The PFMA has been conducting an 18-month structured PFM executive training covering the public financial management cycle and ecosystems since 2022. And it has done so across 6 modules, including domestic resource mobilization, macro fiscal modeling and forecasting, public budgeting and expenditure management, debt reporting, management and sustainability, public-private partnership. The list goes on. But what we want to underscore here is the fact that this is a very comprehensive program that cuts across all the tenets that are relevant for public financial management, but more importantly, for improving accountability in the use of public resources. So in the first 18 months of establishing the PFMA, it provided training to 145 officials from 45 African countries, out of which 51 persons from 26 countries graduated and were certified as public financial management experts in 2023. And I'm sure we saw some of them in the video. Can we give them a big round of applause, please, our graduates? And we have received, of course, very encouraging commendation and feedback. Some of them we saw in the video from the trainees and graduates on how practical and relevant this training has been for their work, but more importantly, in addressing the PFM and debt management challenges facing their countries. We have therefore very deliberately increased the nominations to 22 people per country for the second cohort of the executive training, which will be commencing this month. So thank you and congratulations to you. One of the key priorities of the capacity development activities of the bank is partnership. And therefore, I'm sure some of you can stand testimony that some of the interactions, the training and activities that you have attended have always been done jointly with partners. And I have a very long list here, so I'm not going to go through the entire list, but we have the IMF, the World Bank, the Africa Finance Corporation, Africa Tax Administration Forum, and so on and so forth. The list goes on, including UNCTAD, including MEFMI, the Commonwealth Secretariat, and so on. And the reason we do this is we at the African Development Bank believe that our challenges are so vast, not only in terms of resources, but also in terms of capacity, some of which can really be very much, can really very much be very challenging in some countries. So we believe that no one can do it better than all of us together. And this is the reason that we have this extended partnership, because each partner has a comparative advantage and has something that they are bringing on the table. For example, we are talking about debt. But the debt sustainability analysis, the mandate lies with the IMF, so the World Bank and the African Development Bank are only in a supportive role. So when they are part of this process, then the conversation gets more complete. Your Excellencies, let me say a few things about debt. We are all aware of the magnitude and challenge of the debt burden of our African countries, especially low-income countries. I think the numbers, we know them, they are very scary. The debt to GDP ratio rising from something like about 38% in 2011 to an unbelievable 76.4% currently. But of course, we are very positive because we know the opportunities abound, and we know we are in this together, and we know with our program and engagement, we definitely would overcome these debt challenges. And let's also clarify that being at the risk of debt distress is very different from being in debt distress. So some of our countries are only at the risk of debt distress. According to the April 2024 debt sustainability analysis by the IMF, of the 9 low-income countries globally that are in debt distress, 7 of them are in our countries, and especially our transition states. So we stand with them here and will continue to support them. In response to these ominous challenges, the bank designed, among other things, the project on strengthening the capacity for transition states for effective management and mitigation of debt distress, the project that I referred to about a few minutes ago. In implementing this project, the African Development Institute, which is the implementing entity at the bank, has undertaken national-level capacity gaps and needs assessment of selected countries. And it is based on this assessment that the special program, particularly this PFMA spotlight on debt management in transition states, was designed, and we are pleased that we are here today implementing it. This maiden edition of the Spotlight program will be addressing emerging public debt management capacity challenges in Africa's transition states, and will focus on providing best practice solutions to emerging capacity development challenges. For this reason, we have assembled you, very high-level government officials, public financial management officials, debt management practitioners, policymakers, and other relevant stakeholders who are working on these issues on a day-to-day basis, trying to address them. You will have the opportunity in this gathering, in these 2 days deliberation, to dialogue, but also to brainstorm and gain relevant knowledge that can aid you in resolving debt challenges in your respective countries. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly excited. As I look at the room, I have every reason to believe that we will have an exciting and productive 2 days, 3 days of interaction that will be very, very beneficial, and we will leave the room very, very, very well prepared and equipped to address the challenges in our country. We expect that at the end of the 2 days, you would have, amongst other things, had an appreciation of tailored best practice solutions to the peculiar debt management circumstances in your countries. You would have established a network or community of practice on debt management in transition states. We expect to achieve that, of course, with the interaction that you would have with peers and colleagues. Some of them might be formal, but also informal. You would have received options on where to get resources for debt management in your country. And of course, you would be abreast of very useful policy recommendations for policymakers in your countries. Let me conclude by reiterating that the African Development Bank continues its commitment to capacity development on the continent, especially in transition states. This is just one of many initiatives that the bank has put in place to support prudent public financial and debt management, but also we are doing all of this for what? One purpose, inclusive growth, right? We want to achieve inclusive and sustainable growth in our countries. We want to create jobs, and at the end of the day, we want to really combat poverty and improve the living conditions of our people. Your Excellency, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to welcome you and to thank you very much for being here, and to let me once again express my hope that this is going to be a very, very fruitful 2 days interaction that will equip each and every one of you of very, very, very useful information, skills, network, and so on to go and make a difference in your countries. Thank you very much.